5:30 and I am calling this meeting to order. First, a reminder that meetings of the Select Board are meetings conducted in public. They are not meetings of the public. Nonetheless, members of the public shall be afforded reasonable opportunities to express opinions about matters conducted by the Select Board, so long as order is maintained. The rules for public comment are: at the conclusion of a Select Board discussion on an agenda item, but before any action is taken, there may be 10 minutes afforded to public comment. Comments made by the public must be addressed to the chair, to the Select Board as a whole, and not to any individual members of the Select Board or members of the public. Members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. If a member of the public has already spoken on a topic, they shall not be recognized again until others have first been given the opportunity to comment. Order and decorum shall be maintained throughout the meeting. Personal, impertinent, threatening, or profane remarks will not be tolerated. For those who are participating via Zoom, please note that chat is not an appropriate avenue for public comment. All public comments must be made verbally when acknowledged by the chair. Please silence all cell phones, and a reminder to all that this meeting is being recorded and may appear on the internet. Okay, are there any adjustments to the order of the agenda?
I have none.
Anyone else?
I have none.
Okay. The next piece is Select Board Remarks. I'm going to make my first Select Board remark in that we have moved public comments on items not on the agenda to the bottom of the agenda, and created a separate Select Board Remarks piece just to codify the practice that I have of letting the Select Board talk before public comment. Does the rest of the Select Board have anything to say?
Not.
Okay. The only other thing I wanted to say was that I was deeply appreciative of the support that was given to the whole Select Board and myself at our last meeting. It really made it made the job feel less thankless. So thank you to everyone who spoke up. Next is the approval of minutes. Any motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 1st, 2024.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 1st, 2024. Are there any changes, questions? No? Fletcher's not online, right?
I don't see him.
Okay. All right, so then hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, next up is the warrants to the treasurer.
Make a motion to approve and approve warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review. Karen?
Payroll warrant dated October 18th, 2024 in the amount of $22,291.79.
Anything different?
We just have the Parks and Rec coordinator on here.
Okay.
But other than that, everything is normal.
I'll just put it out there as usual. I have a check here from the fire department.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions on the payroll? No? Okay, moving on to accounts payable.
Accounts payable dated October 5th through October 18th, 2024, in the grand amount of $1,557,113.25. This warrant does contain the education school payment to the school district in the amount of $1,441,591. First payment of 3. Simon's operations, $12,648. Those are our monthly contract with a little bit of extra work that they had to do that's outside of the contract. The Windham County taxes, it's paid twice a year. So the first payment is $15,585.
That's the assessment, not the contract we have with the sheriff, right?
That is correct. It's the county assessment.
Okay.
Frank Harlow Trucking, $31,074.40. That is for the work on Putney Mountain Road, which we will be getting a reimbursement from our grant. That paperwork is in progress this week. Hopefully it'll go out on Friday. And Camoin Associates, $7,458.75. They are helping with the housing needs assessment. Everything else, $8,130.50 is the credit cards, so M&T Bank.
Okay.
Other than that, everything is normal.
There's a couple of individuals here, seems like.
Naomi Ullman is our gardener.
Okay.
And then there is, I think it was Jessica Hill. She's also doing gardening here at Town Hall.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving to the town manager's report.
Oh, I lost it already. Let me see. So it was brought to my attention today, actually, that the grader requires some maintenance work as we're getting the code from the computer. We received an estimate today from United Construction and Forestry, which is the cat dealer up in Springfield. So the estimate is $7,420.79. The grader is a 2013 model. It's due for replacement in 2030, and it has about 5,000 hours on it. Because it is from a dealer, I'm not quite sure that we can get 2 more estimates, to have this maintenance work done. I will do my best, but we are going to have to do this work. It's overdue. Should have been done probably 2 years ago, but to keep it in running order. That grader is out on the roads about 600 hours a year. So
I appreciate it, I live on a dirt road, so.
yeah. So I just wanted to alert the select board that that's in the works right now. On the subject of maintenance, so the clarifier at the wastewater treatment plant requires attention. Joe Tatro did get an estimate of $104,300 from one vendor. We will have to solicit other requests. I'm going to consult with Chris Hayes, he's with Simon Operations Services, and see how to proceed. But again, this is something that if it goes down, we're down.
Okay. So it's pretty important.
This is critical.
Okay.
So I will keep you updated on that. I haven't really started looking into this. I just got the estimate yesterday. But on a good note, grant management work consists of preparing 3 grants for reimbursement this week. We have a total of 6 active grants with 2 additional applications waiting on decisions. I had a resident email me regarding the state requiring that all towns with water service have their water lines checked for lead.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So back on April 17th of this year, I reported True Pawnee conducted a water service line inventory. I'm reaffirming a total of 140 service lines were inspected and 140 lines are non-lead. So this work was conducted through a grant and the information was provided to the state of Vermont. Effective October 1st, regional planning commissions will no longer be supporting towns with development of the local emergency management plans. I had sent you an email about this. I'm now putting it on record. The Vermont Emergency Management Regional Coordinator will be assisting towns. And I'm gonna be reaching out to Taya Christie about this. There's new releases of local emergency management documents too coming out in December. So they're changing how things are being done
Okay.
and modifying certain.
When is that due?
It is usually due in April.
Okay, so we have time.
We have time, but this might be good timing to really look at it deeply and make some changes.
Okay.
So, currently working on town meeting prep. Requests went out for town departments and committee and board reports that have to be inserted into the town report. Social agency questionnaires were being emailed. Budget is in progress. I will send a doodle poll out for November dates to review a draft of the budget.
Okay.
Knowing that we all want to meet on a Saturday.
Can't wait.
We can. We can do whatever you like. And I'm waiting on the draft of the audit. We received the initial adjustments on October 4th. So I want to look at those this weekend and then hopefully we can have a draft in the next couple weeks. That's all I have for right now.
Anybody on Select have any questions about the town manager's report? Anybody online have any questions about the town manager's report? Anybody in the room? Okay, moving on to boards, committees, and commissions. First one is the Rescue Inc. status report, which is Jeanette.
Thank you, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to sit down because my knees and back don't like me just standing still, so if you don't want to see me pacing back and forth, I'll sit.
We don't have a positional requirement.
All right, thank you. So, as your representative to the rescue board, I'm going to just give you this report that came out of the member meeting. I was really sorry that it happened on a Sunday afternoon in the fall when no one could attend, but it was the only day that there was no select board meeting from one of the member towns. So that's why it happened there. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of what happened at the meeting. So Rescue was formed in 1966. It covers 500 square miles with 10 ambulances to its 14 member towns. From July 2023 to July 2024, it responded to 5,800 calls, including 5 cardiac arrest saves and 2 more this September. This was all done with no mutual aid required. Rescue is more than an ambulance service. It's a complex health system delivering health care outside of the hospital. Members are always training and preparing so that in the moment of need they are ready to perform professionally. I'm going to kind of read because I want to not get off track, okay? If that's okay. Okay. So we are mostly familiar with the ambulance service because that's what we contract for, and that's mainly what we think of as the 911 ambulance service provider. But there is a lot more to rescue than that, and I'd like to just briefly talk a little bit about that. So tech rescue, this includes ice, cold water, swift water, high and low angle ropes, search and rescue, wilderness, off-road, confined spaces, and flood response. All of the members of the team are volunteers and each average about 2,000 hours of training and are nationally certified. The team rescue services are provided to member towns at no additional cost. The teams are often activated by Vermont Emergency Management and are then reimbursed either by FEMA or the state. In July of 2023, there were 3 fully active swiftwater teams that responded locally and all over the state. Now, in fact, there are teams, some of our teams are in North Carolina. An interesting comment on that is that in 2023, we had some rescue teams from Asheville, North Carolina here, and now our rescue teams are in Asheville, North Carolina. So this is, I think, worthy of mention. The Higgins and Langley Memorial Awards are well-known and awarded internationally. Rescue's tech team received the Incident Award for a spectacular rescue during the flooding in 2023, and it was the only U.S. team to receive that award in 2024. Some of the other services.
Before you go,
What?
just give us a little bit of, what was that rescue?
It was a rescue in Londonderry where they had to go up, and then the fire departments and the police couldn't get any farther, and they swam through. It was a guy who was stuck in the middle of the raging river on a hot tub for some reason, and they went out there and they got him off. It was pretty amazing. I think you can go on. They probably have some video of it someplace. Oh, yes, please. If you have any questions while I'm doing this, please ask me. So some of the other services that they provide are fire rehab, which is treating EMS and firefighters on the scene of fires, mass casualty support, heat and cool tents at incidents, and they provided COVID and vaccine clinics in every county of the state, surveyed all 14 counties for flood damage. They collected needs data on all homeless motel residents and more, all the while not missing any calls in any of their member towns. So just a couple recent initiatives. I think this is important. Mobile Integrated Health is a program with Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. Many, including our hospital CEO, see it as the future of our healthcare system. Currently, when someone feels they're having a medical issue, they call 911. When EMS gets the call, they go to the person. EMS only has two choices: leave them at home or take them to the hospital. Neither may be the best option for either the patient or the service. This approach gives them more options. An example of how it works. Right now, it serves Brattleboro Hospital patients having total joint replacement. So before MIH, the patient went to the hospital for pre-op, then surgery, then to the hospital for post-op. I know because I just did it all. If they experienced pain or panic, they called 911 and went to the emergency room. This is expensive, traumatic for the patient, and not always a good use of provider time. Under MIH, specially trained personnel will visit the patient in their home for the pre-op and again for the post-op. The patient will have 24/7 access to a professional who will answer their calls, visit them, and perform certain functions in their home. On-site testing, x-rays, managing meds, determining whether they need to go to the hospital. The MIH professional works directly with the provider and Brattleboro Hospital. Starting in November, the MIH will expand its services to cover COPD patients of Brattleboro Primary Care who have been hospitalized. Initially, they will have a 30-day follow-up from the MIH professionals. This will expand to patients in New Hampshire and patients of Grace Cottage over the next few months. The program is completely voluntary for the patient, and the patient must be referred by their PCP. The program is funded by BMH through a grant. Not only is it better care, it also saves money. We heard that keeping one person out of the ER and from being re-hospitalized pays for an entire month of the program. And one of our Putney people, I believe, has been one of the few people covering this 24/7, and now they're expanding the professionals. Brattleboro Retreat, the ambulances are devoted to transporting patients in need of specialized mental health care from emergency rooms all around the state of New Hampshire to the retreat for their specialized services. This service is paid for by the retreat. Mobile training and incident simulation trailer. This is pretty exciting. It is a state-of-the-art mobile trailer designed to enhance EMS training provide on-scene rehabilitation for firefighters in the protected trailer instead of outdoors like they have to do now, or in a tent, and serve as a command post during search and rescue operations. It will significantly improve emergency response capabilities and public safety in Vermont and the surrounding regions. We know there's a critical shortage of EMS professionals. The job is demanding and it requires extensive training. The training is also very expensive given the cost of the equipment needed to provide a realistic environment for practicing medical events. This trailer will not only have such equipment, but because it is mobile, it will be able to provide this training and experience to the EMS providers where they are, thus saving time and cost associated with centralized training. And now, just a word about VEMSA. I'm sure you have heard of it. I don't know if any of you have been there except Nate. I know you have. Yeah. It's the Vermont Emergency Management Services Academy in Newfane, and it opened in September of 22. Since then, it has held 358 classes serving over 2,200 students with every level of EMS certifications. It features high-tech mannequins. In fact, I'm just going to tell you a little aside here. When I think Nate has heard this story, they had a group of kids come in and they have all these rooms, and there's one that's like a little room where a child and mannequin is sitting in a chair, and this little kid, why he did this, I have no idea, a third grader or something, walked up and slapped the mannequin, and the mannequin started crying. And the kids really freaked out. But the mannequins cry, they bleed, their eyes follow you, they're pretty high tech. Okay, it has an ambulance simulator, clean room, and state-of-the-art equipment. It is the only full-time and fully certified EMS training facility in Vermont. All the courses being certified by, this is a national organization, and it is a registered training facility for the American Heart Association and the National Association of Emergency Technicians. Just a note about EMS education. In the past, it was evaluated by testing, so all the teaching was done to the test. And then they had a clinical stint after that. The future of education is competency-based training, or competency-based learning. The evaluations will be portfolio-based, meaning that the provider must evaluate competencies and be responsible for assuring the readiness of the student. This will become effective in January 2026. VEMSA is already fully accredited now to do the portfolio competency-based training, and it is the only one in the state ready for this change. They also provide community education for the general public. It received a grant to offer free CPR and first aid to all educators and juniors and seniors in the Wyndham Central Supervisory District, and it runs an experiential learning class for Leland and Gray high school students, and is hoping to expand to more career centers and high schools. On the bottom, I wrote where you can, it was taped by BCTV, thank you very much, and you can watch the presentation because I think it's really illuminating. And if we only think of rescue as being an ambulance service, we're not giving it its due. So I would recommend watching it. And you probably should have watched it before, and then you wouldn't have had to sit and listen to me. But anyway, there you
I
go.
saw that it was on BCTV, does that count?
I think we were told that at the last select board meeting, because I have a note that says, watch this.
Oh, and did you?
I did not, but I did write it down.
Okay.
But it's still
Now you
here
have
on my to-do list.
Yes, and now you have it written down again.
That's
But it's a really good presentation, and I think Karen was there, and I think she appreciated it.
Billy Strauss.
And Billy Strauss was there from Putney. And there were really good questions from the audience, which I think would be illuminating for some of the issues. The woman from Townsend had a lot of really good questions. So there you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Select board have any questions for tonight? Anybody online have any questions? about the Rescue Inc. report meeting? Anybody in the room? All right.
And I will try to be more diligent in giving you ongoing reports. I have
That'd be
not,
great.
I thought I was gonna be able to do that and I just have not, and so I will.
I'd like to add too that we just received the 3-year contract, came in the mail yesterday.
Good, yeah. They, it took a little bit longer. They were going to send it out right after that meeting, but then they got deployed to go down to North Carolina and Georgia and Florida and wherever. So it took a little bit longer. But you did get it.
I did.
Good.
Okay. Okay. All right, moving on to the Putney Fire Rescue Committee, which is Peg.
Yeah, that committee, which we call FARC, is moving along. We met again on Monday evening. Despite the fact that it was a holiday, we still met because we feel motivated to keep this process moving, and it's complicated. It's really complicated, and we worked on our timeline at the last meeting and would like to request of the select board. I don't think we need a vote because I talked to Karen about it, and I think there are funds available to.
Well, so the consultant is contracted to $3,500.
Okay.
So we will be adding to that contract. There is money in the 330 special account, which is public safety. And depending on how many extra meetings.
Well, the committee is asking right now for two more meetings, which would have us, that doesn't include the public meeting, just the two more facilitated group meetings. And that would take us to, we would have the schedule is that we would hopefully have our report to the select board in January. So we would have a couple more meetings, and then we would have a public meeting, hopefully in early December, and then we would integrate that information into our report and bring a report to you all in January.
Okay. So do we need to vote for the money or not?
Yes, I would.
Yes.
Oh, we do?
So do you have
Okay.
an amount?
Just for the two
The
sessions?
last time we said up to a certain amount or something to that effect.
Yeah, not to exceed.
So what's the cost per meeting?
It's about $200 a meeting.
And so we are exceeding what we had, well, no, I'm sorry, Karen, you wrote this all up so nicely and I did not bring it.
Okay. So we're adding 2 extra meetings is what we're doing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I would just to be safe, increase of $1,000.
So not to exceed 1,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So can I hear a motion to that effect?
Sure, I'll make a motion to allocate no more than $1,000 for continuation of a facilitator for our fire and rescue committee.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to allocate up to $1,000 for continued facilitated meetings of the Putney Fire and Rescue Committee. Is there further discussion on the board? Are there comments online? Comments in the room? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thought you were holding your.
I know, I thought. Name.
Being very active today. Next is the Planning Commission status report, which is Sue.
Chair. I believe I'm giving 2 reports. Is that right, Karen? I'm doing both reports here, one after the other.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I'm providing a Planning Commission Chair monthly report update on our projects. And I have been otherwise including in that a report on Town Hall renovation. The Town Hall Renovation Committee is moving along in its work, and we wanted to, I'm part of that, but we have a separate report because it's really a different project. So I have both reports. The Town Hall Renovation Progress Report is in your packet, and the Planning Commission Chair Report is in my hand. And I will provide copies to you. I have extra copies for people in the room. If anybody needs the Town Hall Renovation Report, I do have extra copies of that.
It does look like it's in our packet, so.
Yeah, I do have it, so that's good, there you go. All right, and I have copies for anybody else who's interested to see. These around.
Which
I
shall
need
we
one of
do
them.
first?
We're gonna go over, this is the Planning Commission report that I just handed out, and then I'll come to the Town Hall renovation. And hello to everybody online. We have met since I last gave a report, just one more time, because I gave you a report in September, the day after we had just met for a monthly meeting. So we met in October, and this was a meeting, our monthly meeting, focused on the Housing Needs Assessment and Action Plan. But both projects are moving along, taking a lot of time and effort, a lot of goodwill. On the Housing Needs Assessment Action Plan, we did the community-wide survey. We had 371 responses, which is 22% of our registered voters as a metric, which is pretty outstanding. And I want to thank our future Putney Housing Solutions Task Force for their help in the community outreach to get that survey out to so many people. So that survey results, along with demographic and market research, has been turned into some initial findings, 10 findings, and a number of solutions, 3 goals, and a number of strategies for how we will address our housing needs. Just big picture, there's nothing really different than what we already knew, that we do have a very urgent housing shortage, and it's the housing that's available on the market is typically not affordable for the people who need it. Interestingly, it appears that seniors in our community are the most housing cost burdened in our community by a lot, and in the greatest need of housing solutions. Though young families and young people are also struggling to afford housing and find it. And so more housing is suggested, at least 80 units over the next 5 years, and given how not quickly we've been building in our community, that's a pretty big challenge. And the solutions go more into how to address that. I won't go into that. There's a community meeting on Monday, so that was the teaser. Those are our problems to solve. We will have a presentation discussion at Landmark, which is hosting the meeting in their Brook Auditorium in the Lewis Administration.
What day is that?
Monday at 6:30.
Okay, we have a
Okay.
PCA meeting,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
Is it being recorded?
Yes, there's a lot. Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that will be going on. In this meeting, we'll review those and have breakout discussion groups to talk about what of these seem to resonate most, what questions do we have, what rises to the top for our action plan. That'll be happening on the 21st, and then the committee will be reviewing the results of that and meeting with Des Moines again at our November meeting. And then in December, we will receive a draft final report of this and present that for discussion at a community meeting on December 18th. And then a final report will be coming in January. So we're on track. It's very fast paced, but I think all the issues are on the table. And there's a lot of discussion going on. So I expect it's going to be quite helpful. And then on the zoning bylaw modernization project, we're really primarily in a time of trying to understand very specifically what will we be able to update in this go-round and what has priority. Obviously, we want to align it with the town plan requirements and goals largely around housing, but also climate resilience and land conservation. And there are gonna be some pithy issues in balancing all those things. And we're thinking about that now. We will be holding focus groups in November to get further information from certain groups about their particular needs, interests around our zoning. The Wyndham Regional Commission will be facilitating those, but they're also doing research on what are new requirements we need to align our zoning regs with, and what are some best practices that they're recommending we look at that other towns are using. We will, by the end of the year, when we're getting done with the housing needs assessment, we will then set the goals and the scope for what we want to aim for in zoning regs and begin more public outreach. Our intent is to hold some type of community meeting and engagement in January or early February. We will then have a series of sessions with the Commission and the Advisory Committee on specific sections based on the goals that we adopt for the zoning update. And then we expect to be done in the fall. So that, and there'll be other community engagement. So that is the status of those two projects, and I would say they're on time. They're impactful, and I think they will raise a lot of interesting ideas for us to work with. I also wanted to just note on one other topic, the Putney Landing pedestrian walkway. You all approved us to apply for a VTrans Transportation Alternatives Grant. I watch every day to see when the solicitation comes out. It has not come out yet. That's probably been good news for the past 2 weeks, but in terms of activity, but I expect it will come soon. I'm going to make a call next week if I don't see it to give me an idea of when they expect it. They thought it would be out, by the end of September. It will be due in December. So that will be coming, and I hope to be able to come to you with a suggested grant for approval for December, but there's no solicitation yet. So, and then lastly, the Planning Commission is still one short one commissioner, another needed as soon as possible. As Commissioner Van Diem wants to step down due to a very full schedule. We have had some initial interviews, but has not yet yielded new commissioners. And honestly, between running these two projects and working on the town hall restoration, it's pretty hard to do a lot more outreach beyond that. But I'm hoping in January we can begin to do more recruitment. And I hope that the projects that we're doing will get people interested.
Yeah, I was going to say, are there people who are coming forward in some of these task forces that might be good candidates?
That's right,
Yeah.
and the project advisory committees.
Yeah.
So, and that was intentional, to try to engage people in some new ways that might show them what we do and
How much fun it is to do it.
That's right. It's true. But it is a lot of work, and it is a little breathless. We're trying not to have too many special meetings, and we are trying to hold all of our project work meetings on our monthly meetings. We will have some special meetings, we can't go without it, but so far, last 2 months, we've done just monthly meetings. And we probably will in November too. So that is my report from the Planning Commission. Any questions?
Any questions on Select-Board? Anybody? Heather? Small?
Sorry, they updated it on the phone. It's hard to figure out. So if Sue could maybe elaborate on some of the demographics of 80 units in 5 years. Is it single family? Is it multifamily? Is it commercial, residential? And where do we think the idea is to put them? Because if you put 80 units downtown, that's a lot. But if you put 80 units, the northern end or out in East Putney, that may be a little bit different.
So, great question, Heather, and I will invite you to come talk about this more on Monday, because the consultants will go into that. And it is a multiple approach. It's not a one approach. It's not all ADUs. They are saying that we need new housing development, and in particular, senior housing. That is our most urgent need, and opening up and providing more senior housing will provide more housing for young families and younger people. And it's just kind of a logjam. But they have multiple suggestions about what to do, and that is just now in discussion. It's not final. It's a very, my approach is let the consultants put it on the table and let's talk about it as a community. I haven't previewed it all. I got it at the same time everybody else is getting it. So I think it's very interesting. It's looking at home ownership as well as more rental. They both are needed. And also ways to better connect people to housing solutions is another interesting strategy.
Okay.
So I just want to make a comment and I have a question. So the draft reports are on the website for the housing.
There's a link on the report here.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So the information is available on the website if anyone's interested in reading it.
From the planning, through the planning commission?
Yes.
Planning Commission projects.
Yep. For the meeting on Monday, is it gonna be Zoom?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
I've set that up. I'm using my Zoom account and I'll record it. And that's what I've done for community meetings in the past.
Okay.
Because I don't have a town computer. To use a town Zoom, I have to use a town computer. So for all the planning commission meetings, I'm using my computer and my Zoom.
And is that agenda posted already?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And it's more information about it. And I want to say a thanks to Rachel Ryan, who's been working with me on this. In the calendar, you can get the link, the Zoom link. And there's also the agenda that's posted. And then
Perfect.
we have the draft. The draft findings and solutions that are now posted are going to be updated again on Monday. They're being commented on now. And my job tomorrow is to summarize all those comments
Okay.
so that Camoin can update and provide a next version on Monday. And I will not see it until they present it on Monday. So it's a real-time thing. I think they really do value the feedback, and it did change from the October 1st meeting to the next version.
One more follow-up question. So has the select board received that document that you just spoke about, the questions?
The
The questionnaire or the results?
The results, you know that thing that you're gonna be pulling together all the,
Oh, well, all I'm doing is I sent around Camoin's presentation, and then I gave them a little chart, all the committee members, and said, what do you think about finding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? What do you think about? And I'm
so
collecting
it's
that.
just for the committee.
That's for the committee. I mean, I put it, it's all on the website that we do everything in public view. So there it is. Their responses are not there. They're going to me, and then I'm
Right.
summarizing them.
Okay.
And I'm giving them to Camoin because they're going to work with that to produce the next thing. So it's, but the information that Camoin put out is there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for that. And if there's other ideas about how to make sure that we're being as transparent as possible, I lean that way. So trying to do the best we can.
All right.
All right.
I think there's a question in the room.
Yes, I have a little question, and I know it's because I'm not up to date, but maybe you can do it super quickly. Where does the Putney Landing proposed sidewalk go from one end to the other, please?
The library to Putney, to Old Depot Road.
Okay, so it's not to do with the landing at all, really?
Well, it initially came out of that. It is actually the solution for the landing and the whole neighborhood. So for people to safely walk across Route 5, right now there's not a signaled crosswalk.
I was thinking of the Putney Landing down by the river, so that's where I.
Well, that is if the Putney Landing apartment folks who live there do not have a safe way to cross over Putney Landing or Route
I
5.
think she meant the landing, the boat
The
landing.
boat.
Oh, the
Yeah,
landing.
put the
Which
whole
would
thing
also
on.
Going all the way for, thank you, Emily.
And the other thing, I just want to report a very successful thing. I put an ad in the Craigslist for people from down in North Carolina to be able to come up and stay, who would help. Somehow it got listed around here, so it was pretty much a free place to stay. And so someone from around here is now staying with us, and it's so successful, so helpful, and I just think there's so many different ways that we can resolve a lot of our housing issues. And It's just a matter of compatibility.
You may be interested when you read the Camoin report, and maybe you'll join us on Monday.
Yeah.
But they actually suggest, among other things, to connect people to housing.
Right.
One is for our new community nurse to actually identify who's in need of housing and to try to connect them to resources and make that information known to a whole range of housing providers because it's not known, make it visible. Another is to do an emergency shelter. We don't really have emergency shelters and we should have them. And they also had another thing that I'm for, a bulletin board, you know, a bulletin board so people can find things. So there's a number of interesting solutions that are kind of low tech that work with existing resources, though the emergency shelters new. Those will be in discussion on Monday, and as possible things to do.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're interested in tying it into sustainability, but I'm involved with a hemp hub that's nationally, that's bringing forward hemp modular, which of course sequesters carbon, all those good things. But having trailers that we can, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm
Sounds to me like that's probably good information for the meeting.
Yeah, I think these are discussions
see
to
if I
have
can-
on Monday. And then, again, this is floating first ideas, and then there'll be another meeting in December that takes that and turns it into a final proposal of findings and solutions. So please participate, everybody.
One less person needs a home now.
Well, that's wonderful, and any solution is a good one, and so that's great, that takes care of people.
Okay, are there any other questions about the housing, or did you finish?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have the town hall renovation to do, but that's a
Perfect.
different
Okay, is there
report.
any other questions about Sue's Planning Commission monthly report? Online or in the room? On Select Okay,
Alrighty.
ready for the next one.
Next report. I participate on the Town Hall Renovation Committee along with the Town Manager, Karen Astley, and Lisa Papazian with the Historic Preservation, Putney Historical Society. And we have been working for many months, and the project is moving along quite well. I do have copies of this report that I can pass out. You all have it in your, so let me just pass these out back this way. If you wouldn't mind, Joy, thank you. Two big things recently. One is that we applied for two grants. One was a Vermont Historic Preservation grant for $20,000, which would match a grant that may be awarded. We're in line for award from the Vermont the Preservation Trust of Vermont for the windows. And this would actually help us to fully fund the windows. If we got that other grant, we're in good stead for it. We will find out by the end of December. So that would provide a total of $95,000 to make energy efficient, historically restored windows. I think that's pretty cool. And we also applied for $500,000 with support from the Select Board from the Municipal Energy Resilience Program, MERP. We will know by October 25th whether we're getting that money.
Okay.
That's coming up soon. It was a quick turnaround, and whatever award we get, we would have an agreement in place by the end of November, and the money will need to be used by the end of December 2026. Okay, so it'll give us roughly 2 years to do that, and it's largely for efficiency improvements, building thermal envelopes, improvements beyond the windows, and replacement of the oil-fired furnace and the portable AC system with a high-efficiency HVAC system to take care of both floors. I know there's a lot of people who'd be very happy for that, and that finally occurs. It will also cover the associated design and permitting costs. So I hope we get the $500,000. I think there's a reasonable chance that we will. And very importantly, to be able to receive that money, you need to be ready to use it. So the last part of my report for the committee is that, as you know, in August, the town issued an architectural services request for proposals, an RFP. We had 5 responses to it. When we held the on-site meeting, there were about a dozen people here. We were shocked. There was a lot of interest in it, and we did receive 5 proposals, four of which were really quite good. We held interviews last week with 4, and there's a process now of doing more reference checks for the top 2 to answer some questions. It's a hard choice. They're really good services being offered to the town, and we're trying to think how we can provide the greatest service to the town to get the project done, recognizing that we don't have a big team to do it. And we need to do some significant and important public outreach about it. So we're looking for firms who can really help us get our hands around, manage and get the project done, as well as make sure we get good public engagement to shape it. I don't have an answer right now, but by the time you meet next, at the end of the month, the committee expects to ask your approval for a contract to do that. And that will put us in good stead to be able to start running with whatever funding we have. Even the Windows money would need to be spent by the end of June 2025. So there are deadlines on these things.
Yeah.
Or 26, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. No, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I put it down correctly in here.
June 26th.
June 26, yeah. But still, we need to get that spent. And honestly, if we can do a good job on all of that, there may be other unspent money that we may find because we're ahead of the curve doing the work. So that's kind of what we're hoping. And then on the 30th, we will come back with some more thoughts about public engagement and the future of the committee and how that might work once we have architectural services in town, in line. So it's really just an update. There's no approvals required, but I think it's an exciting time, and I think this project is really beginning to move along. And I really want to thank Karen for all the work she's been doing, as well as Lisa Papazian. Both of them have done a lot to move this forward. So
We're a good team together.
we are a good team, the 3 of us.
So thank you.
Sure. All right, questions?
Selectboard, any questions?
No.
Any questions in the room? The renovation project? Town hall renovation project, are there any questions online? Okay,
Very good.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next part is select board new business. The first piece of that is the septic allocation request for 76 Old Route 5 as the sewer and water commissioners.
So Mr. Kyle Arnold is here in the room with us. He has put in an application for sewer allocation and connection. His private septic in the village is failing.
Okay.
So it makes sense to connect to the system. We do have capacity
Okay.
for him to hook up.
All right.
I do recommend this move forward, as it tends to be a health issue, not only for the town, but also for his family.
Yeah.
So engineer Phil Savoy has done the calculations and the design, which is in your packet. And the connection fee and the application fee has been paid by Mr. Arnold.
Okay. So, are there any questions about this? I don't have concerns. You did have a question?
No, my only question is, how many properties in town, like in the village, like Kyle's property is?
Has a
Still
private,
has a private septic.
Can I have the room be quiet? We're trying to talk over here. What was your question?
My question, I was just asking how many properties in the village are still on private septic?
I don't have a number for you, Peg.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how we would determine that. I can tell you there are properties in the village that are still on wells.
Yeah. Right, wells are, I got the well thing going too,
Yeah.
but I'm just curious if the septic,
Right.
that there's people right in the village that aren't hooked into the septic, so.
I'm sure it's not just Mr. Arnold.
Yeah.
There's probably a few.
Alright.
I mean, we could look at our inventory, but we would have to look at a map and just kind of,
Just looking, kind of
Yeah.
like here, yeah.
Yep.
I'd just be curious. Maybe sometime when I'm in your office, we can pull out a map.
that might be like a student project.
Yeah.
You have to go through it, yeah.
Yeah,
It might be interesting to know,
right.
where those areas are, just to know.
Yeah.
Cause that would impact development.
Well, capacity it would, yeah. And if we're looking at 80 new units,
Right.
it will definitely impact.
Yeah.
So,
And
the
water
timing
as well, because if,
Right.
water and sewer go together.
well, they do, water in, water out.
It's,
Yeah.
if your well fails, then, where do you put that if you're on a really small lot?
Right.
Emily?
Yeah, thanks. Two things. That we're incredibly backwards to be flushing our waste down the water. People don't, animals don't, well, anyway, we should be looking long-term, move to dry waste, but that's an aside. My question initially was, what is the cost of a combined water well quarterly fee compared to just a sewer fee? Does anybody have?
Combined? I don't know. What's the,
436. I just
Yeah, 436.
It's $4.36.
Oh, but I'm not hooked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it depends on your usage. So water, you have a meter, so it's your metered usage. And then there's a water bond that's paid, and this is every quarter.
Mhm.
So there's 4 bills a year.
Do you have an average for?
I don't have an average because it depends on, the size of the house, how many people are in there.
Okay,
But, yeah.
thanks.
Ours is without being hooked up is 436 every quarter, just for the bond and
Just
the
the
sewer.
bond. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette.
But that varies too, because if you have a flat rate sewer and somebody might be on a metered sewer, so. So it's all over the place. You can't. There's really no
non-metered
base.
sewer is like 164 a quarter.
Yes.
But I don't know what
Flat.
the water is.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that. Did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, having one of those accounts, it generally runs between $350 and $400 a quarter for sewer and water, and it's metered water.
Right.
Thanks.
Any other questions from the room? Any questions online? Concerns about this? Any questions or concerns on select board?
Just one last note, the Cobb Hill is all composting, so it could be done for people. And of course, the what is that called? The place that they're doing the urine, the live earth, whatever it is. We really need to think long-term about changing how we're utilizing our water, just sort of floating that above the whole conversation. Thank you.
All right, so can I hear a motion to approve the allocation of 76, where are we?
Yeah.
Of 420 gallons a day from 76 Old Route 5 South.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the allocation of 400, or the connection of 420 gallons a day for 76 Old Route 5 South. Any other discussion on the board? Any comments? Further comments in the room? Any further comments online? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, you can connect. All right, thank you. So moving on to the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, Mrs. May.
Okay, thank you so much. So you guys are saying this, you're special because you're the first town I think that's getting our new annual reports. I don't even think they've been uploaded to the website yet, so
Thank you.
We broke out the boxes today.
It's still warm.
Is it so warm? I do have one more for the room if anybody would like one. And then also, just show and tell we are having our annual meeting tomorrow, and all select board members.
Thank you for.
Welcome to
Yeah,
come.
so
And
now-
now that's the last one of those. And then if anyone would like to one of these.
Can I just?
Sure, feel free,
while you're
yeah.
talking?
So that's just our annual report. That's something that we actually put together in-house. So I know it looks really fancy, but we actually all get together and write that jointly just to talk about our work, because it's just a good way to explain what we do. So I just like to give the rundown once a year. We send a funding request for SEVIDS. And so just to say, what is SEVIDS, what is BDCC? So SEVIDS is a nonprofit organization that's devoted to developing regional economic development strategies to keep our region moving forward. SEVIDS has an all-volunteer board, has its own separate budget, and a separate board from BDCC. They don't have any staff, and so any funds that are raised by SEVIDS through grants or through this municipal funding request that we do are we use to contract with BDCC for programs. So in some years we may have an overage. This year, if you look at the numbers, we had a little more income than we had expenses, but that money is on hand for things like grant matches for federal grants, where you might be required to have matching funds for a 3-year grant. You have to show that you have it in the bank. So it's really, we don't always drain that account every year, but any funds that are left in there in excess are generally committed as matching funds to grants for programs. So that's what SEVIDS is. And then just the programs that we develop with BDCC generally just fall into 3 buckets. So we have workforce programs, we have the sort of more traditional economic development business support programs, and then we have community programs. So the community programs would be our regional economic development strategy plan we're doing. I know Sue and Karen were on one of the calls for the comprehensive economic development strategy. We call that the SEDS because it's a mouthful, but we're in the process of updating that this year. We call for projects every year to update that, just to help us as a region stay aware of what projects are happening, who needs resources, how we can help put that together. And that's our community programs. We often do like grant writing workshops. We do we have a nonprofit board development workshop running next month. And other, we're really looking to sort of identify areas where we can sort of dovetail with work that our regional planning commission might be doing, pick up where they leave off to really help people get access to resources to do projects in their communities. Workforce development, we do a lot. We're in the schools doing pathways development, like hoping that all Windham County seniors in public schools will have access to developing a plan when they graduate. We also do, we've worked with refugee resettlement, so we do the workforce end of that, helping people get jobs when they first arrive, fill the jobs that are out there, and then as they integrate more in the community, helping them get their credentials recognized and upskill. And then for things like, for example, when the paper plant closed, we're on hand to sort of help find jobs for people who may have lost jobs. We also are a tenant, so sometimes we provide space for businesses developing and help with workforce development, like for those businesses, but also really for all businesses. We work directly with employers on their needs. So business support, again, we're a commercial landlord. We buy things like a bread building. If you come to our annual meeting tomorrow, you can see a vacant industrial building. We've cleaned it up. We took a long time to buy it. It's complicated, right? So we bought that building and we're cleaning it up, and hopefully we'll get it working again. We've all had like lots of joking about possible uses for it, so you can come see it tomorrow. Roller skating rink, anyone? I don't know. Anyway, but it is a manufacturing facility, and so hopefully it will return to that. So we do that, and then we also do, we have lending for businesses, things like that. Technical support comes with all our lending, and we're doing BizConnect, which is a new program to sort of really develop a network of small business owners for peer support, coming to Putney soon. I'm not privy to the whole schedule, but I was told to say that it will be coming to Putney. They were just in Bellows Falls today. And then we also do, workforce. Should I do them all? Workforce, business, yes, workforce, business, community. Okay, so those are our 3 buckets of programs. We really do think regionally, but I did get the notice that to have our report in for your annual report by November 18th. So I put out the call for everybody to run their reports in our system so that we try and quantify the local effect, but really it's regional because, you know, not everybody who lives in Putney works in Putney, not everybody who works in Putney lives in Putney, you know, it's like people are moving around the region, so like we really lean into that regional employment, regional housing, and that's, you know, we need is the, you know, the people don't just stop at the town line, so local is important, but regional is also really important. That's our work. We appreciate, you know, in the last many years, Putney has funded our request as part of your budget, so we appreciate that, and it really helps us continue our work. The seventh funding request gives us that flexible source of funding that can, you know, we can like double your money by using it as matching funds, or just, for example, if our grant with USDA had not been successful, you know, being able to say we're not going to lay off staff, we can use that flexible source of funding to go look for replacement money. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of all work under grant funding, and so we really appreciate having that municipal funding pool that gives us a flexible source of funding that creates stability. Sometimes it takes 10 years to establish a program and you can only get funding for 5 and you have to go fish. Or the matching funds. So we're always, you know, we really appreciate that. I just want you to know that that, you know, line item on your budget goes to really support our work and to give stability to it. So that's all I have. If anyone has questions, I know you've got our like standard update, and then this, you know, the annual report just kind of goes through things that we did last year. It's always a lot of fun to produce, and we're actually kind of excited when it arrives in the office and we like pull it out of the boxes. But it really, you know, that goes into, we do a lot. We have, I think more than 15 staff right now, which is really great. So we're all, like, it's like a little beehive. Everyone's doing different things in and out, and so we're busy all the time. There's more work to do than we can get to. I was told to say, I know that the paper plant here is something, a big economic impact. I know Adam is on it. The word is that, you know, it has to, it's privately owned. There's nothing we can do until they figure out the environmental situation, and then the owner can know what their options are for that property. But just to know that BDCC, once there's sort of a menu of options, is more than willing to consult and help, you know, make happen what needs to happen, whatever way, if that's, you know, redeveloping, or there's just, you know, who knows, there's many options that could happen with that property. And so it's too soon to know, but Adam said to say that he is, you know, it's on the radar, and it's, you know, when and if we need assistance with that type of thing, depending on what the environmental, it's like out of everyone's hands right now.
Thank you for that statement.
Yeah.
I'm glad it came from you.
Well, Adam is, yeah, I was sent by Adam to say that just like, you know, it's, you know, who knows what it will be, so there's no way to say, but just to say that we're aware of that. And when we see, you know, for example, like we finally bought the Vermont Bread Building behind our thing, if, you know, that's, anyone want to rent a bread building? No. But you know, so we do, you know, rescue derelict properties, manufacturing properties, and hopefully put them into use in any way that they can be, or if they can't be, then what's next? And that's why we have the community programs that could step in if there's other options. So we try and cover it all. So that's what I have. Any questions?
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
One is, do you have any idea about the timing of the environmental review?
I have no,
based on your history?
Absolutely no idea. Yeah, sorry. It's a state thing that's unpredictable and frustrating.
So it's
Yes.
state.
Yes, it's at the state level, so.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we were talking how many multiple years.
I would be
talking
like
about.
way above my pay grade to even
Try. Okay.
try
Okay, here's
to
an easier
address that.
question.
Okay.
Are you all the ones who do the young professional?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do the Young Professionals Group. Yes.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that? 'Cause
Absolutely.
I think that's such a great group.
Yes, it really is. So we have a Young Professionals program, which basically gets together. We're trying to like reframe it because professionals seems maybe not as welcoming. So, you know, TBD, if there's another word, but it's just an ad hoc group of people that just, they have events and people are invited and you come, and it just sort of really brings people together in the region that are younger, like under 40. And I know with a lot of lifelong friendships have come out of it. You know, people sort of like move through and, you know, age out, and but it really helps people connect to other people, make friends, and feel connected to the region, do fun things, and have a supportive community. I know, like, we have another program where if people are thinking of moving here, we literally like find them a buddy to connect them to and connect them to resources, because it seems like community is everywhere until you're trying to join it from the outside. And so actually some of our work is literally like, you know, connecting people so that they feel rooted in the community and welcome. So, I mean, I'm too old, so they don't let me come to their things. It's really fun. But I know a lot of like really tight friendships have come out of the young professionals, and it seems frivolous, but it's actually really not, because people having community and is really important. So yes, we also do that. We do a lot of things.
Thank you, Meg.
Sure, yeah, and thank you all for supporting our work. We really appreciate it. I just like to connect people to like what it is that you fund and what that does for us, and you know, we just crank along with our regional economic development planning, and it's like it goes anywhere from like the person by person to the like really big picture. So, all right, thank you. Okay, so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Does anybody have any questions for Meg? Either in the room? Jeanette?
Can I just make a comment? This isn't a question, but on one small aspect of what BDCC and Signage does is the SEDS program.
Yeah.
And you know, I work for Brattleboro Housing Partnerships, and last year BDCC reached out to us and said, do you want to submit a project for SEDS? And I don't know if Putney ever does that or not, but people tend to think of it as really big projects that should be submitted. We submitted a project that was a playground for Ledgewood Heights, which is a family housing project, and it made it to the top 10 vital projects in southern Vermont. And it helped us raise $120,000 to build that playground.
I know, there's like really, it's like honestly, those aren't always like the vital projects are not always the biggest. Sometimes they're the one that really are going to help a community and make a difference. It just needs that little push ahead. And so yes, everyone loved that. Was like the little project that could, and we were like so excited when the ribbon cutting like that it happened. So everything from like Grace Cottage Hospital to like a playground. So we do go big, we go small. So
yeah,
thank you. Nice to connect that.
Any comments online? Comments in the room, Emily?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that BDCC helped me a great deal, renting me a place in the cotton mill. And in specific, Bruce Gardner was really helpful. And as you know, he's retired with some really bad cancer. And he was really a backbone of the place. I wonder if you're doing anything to honor it.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We're actually celebrating our 70th anniversary this year, so I haven't seen, we did a big newspaper. I don't know if he's, I would imagine he might be in there, so we'll have to see. Those boxes rolled in like today too, so that's nice to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are
people are like, anyway, all right, well, we'll close it if anyone knows someone who wants to rent a factory. Come see it tomorrow and check it out. Not at this time. Okay.
All right.
Training.
Okay, moving on. Thank you, Meg. Moving on to signage for the Welcome to Putney, which is the Discover Putney Subcommittee, which is Betsy.
Should I get my thing or does it not matter? I have like a little present.
Right there.
Oh.
How is that?
That's great.
Yes.
Looks like candy corn or something.
Fruit Loops.
First, I want to say, as a mother who has a son in Asheville, North Carolina, I'm really grateful for the back and forth sharing and caring between our two communities. Really important. Okay, that said, I'm trying not to cry. So I'm going to just start with where this project came from, and it was the Revitalized Downtown Putney meetings that were held at the Central School in 2023 into 2022 into 2023. And it was actually sponsored by you guys, right? initiated by the Putney Selectboard and Town Manager Karen. And over 200 members of the community met at 3 separate meetings and worked with the Vermont Council on Rural Development. And so it was, obviously it was those meetings were to challenge the community in ways that we could better improve and interaction in many different ways in our community. And so I, as someone who watched many of the small businesses in our community wither after the loss of the general store in the fire, and then subsequently working to kind of pull the general store back together again, I saw that people had stopped, kind of getting off the highway and coming into downtown Putney. You could get off and you could get gas and you could get food or whatever you needed, use the bathrooms at the co-op and get back on the highway and continue on your way. And so my thought was that, we needed to start right away where people are getting off the highway and encourage them to come further into downtown Putney. So although we have very lovely welcome to Putney signs, they're not very visible, and they don't really indicate to anybody what Putney has to offer. So I thought that perhaps we should have some new welcome to Putney signs that would be more inviting in the sense that they could in some way direct people into downtown and inform them what Putney has to offer. And I will just say right now, should we proceed with that project, the existing signs would be very honorably repurposed somewhere. My personal project would be to take, there's one at the north end at the Westminster line with Putney and one here in Putney, that we could potentially take those 2 signs and put them together back to back, make them one sign, and perhaps use them here at the town hall as an invitation into our community in that way. So I followed the guidelines, went to lots of meetings, and developed my project, my plan, submitted it. It was accepted and written up as a grant project, which has been accepted and funded. The old Discover Putney has been revitalized and has taken over as the revitalized downtown Putney umbrella, and that grant money is actually in the bank now with Discover Putney. So this project would not cost any taxpayers any money. And so I started meeting with Will Parmalee, who's a local sign maker, and talking to him about it. And he started to worked with me and helped me develop some ideas for the sign. And we came up with some different designs and some different ideas. And I guess I should step back for a minute and say that this signage project is only the first step in what is under Discover Putney is considered the wayfinding caption, which would perhaps start with the new Welcome to Putney signs, but that there would perhaps be we would go further with kiosks that would inform people of all the many things that there are to do in Putney, the hiking and biking and skiing and, seasonal things, the craft tour, all of those things could be promoted through the wayfinding in Putney. So then I was challenged by how to present my project, and so I went back to those meetings of Revitalize Downtown Putney, where they put big pieces of paper on the wall with ideas that the community threw out, and people were given stickers, and they could go up and put stickers on the projects that interested them, and the ones with the most stickers sort of, won. So I created a board that I put up at the, what was it called? The fair, the Putney, I'm sorry. The downtown community meeting that, it wasn't a meeting, it was a fun day, family day. And so I created a board and I put it up, and let people put stickers on things. And this is sort of a distilled version of that board that I made so that you can see it. And you all have, I think in your packets, you have terrible printer copies of much of this. And then also just a sheet that distilled the results that I got from it. And there was, I would have to say, I really didn't get any negativity from anybody. Lots of families participated and asked their kids what they thought the signs should look like, which is kind of nice because someday, they'll perhaps be the signs when those kids are adults. But anyway, so that's that. What came to the forefront was so these are the two actual paint colors. There were two color options offered, and there were 4 different sign shapes, 2 fonts. 2 of the sign shapes had an option for a logo. Then only one logo option was provided, and that was I talked with Will, and we thought a lot about it and decided that something as simple as an apple tree with a little bit of background, something that just added a little splash if we were going to have a logo on it. And so the option of whether there would or wouldn't be a logo, and if you wanted a logo, you needed to choose one of the 2 signs that were designed for that. What else was there? So there was the color, the fonts, the sign shapes, all of no matter which color combination, there were 2 color combinations. They're obviously one way or one the other way. Would all have a burgundy border. Will, as a sign maker, felt very strongly that there should be a border on the sign. So there's a burgundy border on any of them. And then there's the possibility with any of the signs as we can add more information by hanging smaller signs either off the bottom or off of the side. The side would probably, or both actually, probably. You could probably hang more off the side simply because you're further off the ground. You get into the weeds pretty quickly when you hang them off the bottom. Off the side, you've got more stickers. This particular font got more stickers. The sign that won was this one with the logo. And then we also made a list of just possibilities, and the possibilities are endless. What information could we impart on these smaller signs that hang off of our signs, which would be interchangeable. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if it's craft tour, there could be a sign that says craft tour. If it's apple season, it could, there could be a sign that says, downtown with a little arrow on it that sort of. So the idea is to encourage people to come into downtown Putney by, so we got, some reactions from people about what they thought should, be on those smaller signs. The only one that might not actually be, well, I guess it could hang separately as a permanent was, in a kind of classic New England way to say that Putney was chartered in 1753. And that could either be added at the bottom, permanently at the bottom of the sign, or it could be something that hangs off the bottom of the sign. But for example, direction to downtown, we have a historic district, we have a historic walking tour. There is the hopes that at some point, in conjunction with the Historical Society, that we could also have some signage at either end of town that indicates where our historic district begins and ends. Theater, art, music got a lot of votes, dining, and then the option for special events. So
That's
we
really nice.
Oh, thank you. So, as it stands right now, this sign got the most votes with this font, with the logo, and as did, so you can see for yourself, I can leave it here. You all have the results of everything in your packet. Karen, what else do I need to say about it?
I just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work that's gone into this.
I mean, there are still some serious logistics, as the town of Putney pretty much has throughout its whole downtown, is that we're on a state highway. And so the state pretty much has a say in anything we do on the sides of our roads. And so the specific locations and whether we're grandfathered in where we are, or we need to find other locations and other locations for the signs. We have still some work to do.
Yeah.
Some wrestling probably with the state and so so there would be hopefully one new sign where the existing sign is when you come off the it's the southbound exit where there's by the fire station, up at Westminster and Putney on Route 5 at that border. And then probably the most important one, which we don't really, we have to still navigate, and it's hopeful, is at the northbound exit, which is where everybody heading further into Vermont gets off, to encourage those people to come further. I have had a preliminary conversation a while back with the owner of the Putney Inn, and he seemed very amenable to us having another sign there, but he's having a lot of his own signage issues right now, with everything that's going on there. So he's gonna need to resolve those first, I think. But there is also an old kiosk there, an informational kiosk, whether that's a state, this is another thing we have to sort of investigate, whether the state controls that kiosk or whether it's the federal government, because the interstate is right there, but it's pretty much defunct. Nobody is maintaining it. So, potentially we could take that old kiosk and bring it back to life and make it something that, and in a world that I'm not really totally a part of, but the whole QR codes, and that we can have maps and QR codes, and people can, see all the different hiking and they can access all of the possibilities that are here in Putney by using things like those codes that we can put up in our kiosks. Maybe potentially also a kiosk here at the town hall, one downtown and one as people are entering town. So that's it, my thing. I could answer any questions for anybody?
I have a question, or, I think it's exciting. I support the concept in the project, in general. I think I'm a little sad the signs we have now feel very homemade-ish to me, and, you know, at coming on 5, and these feel a little more professional and kind of standard, like what you would see in almost every town, everywhere. So there's, you know, I think the ones that we have now, I kind of appreciate for their hominess, that they're not these standardized plaques for, so I just want to say that, but the other thing I want to say is that we've had a conversation or two about town logo. And so, you know, looking at different select board meetings, you know, looking at our current, what we use as our town logo is really not very, in my opinion, inspiring or kind of up to what I think we can do better with a more contemporary design for a logo. And we've talked about what we want to do about that. We've made no decisions. But I just would want to, maybe this would inspire us to think more about that, or think together about that, or something. You know, like what is our town logo, and what do we want to use? I would want there to be some continuity if we have a new logo.
I mean, the only thing I would say about that, well, about both of your comments. One is that personally, I love our, and that's why I feel right from the start, feel very protective of the signs that are there now. But my feeling is that people who don't live here coming off the highway don't hardly even see them, because they're little pieces of art on the side of the road that don't necessarily give them any information about Putney. And that, so that's kind of how I feel about that. Being someone who was like a born New Englander, I have a sort of an affinity to the fact that there are sort of that certain classic New England welcome to our community kind of thing, and I'm not adverse to that. And as far as the logo goes, it's not a big thing on this. I mean, we're talking about a sign that's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3x4. And so a logo that perhaps is on letterhead may not be a logo that translates to a sign. So that's just something to think about. It's like the idea that it's really more of just like a little colorful something, so that it's not just a plain sign that says "Welcome to Putney." It has a little bit of character to it. So that would be my comment about the logo, because I know logos can be, you know, they try to say more about your town than an apple tree. So, and would that translate to something that's, you know, that big on the side of the road? So those, I mean, that's my comments, and I understand and appreciate. I think it's great that Putney should have a new logo, and I mean, it's going to take us some time, obviously, to navigate things with the state, and so maybe we can see where you are with a logo at that time.
Maybe we could work together and develop a logo.
Which I'm fine with. I mean, we just decided that there's something about a little, you know, I mean, they are just kind of signs.
Well, I mean, either they're just decorations on a sign,
Right.
or they're a town logo. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're just decorations on a sign.
Yeah, and maybe using logo is the wrong word for it.
Right.
Maybe it's a decoration on the sign, but it seemed like something that there's a lot of in Putney. There's a lot of apple trees in Putney, and so, you know, we kind of chose it, and you know, between Will and I, we decided that we weren't gonna try and go any deeper than that into how to represent, you know, Putney on the sign. So it can be open for discussion. We have some time still before we're ready to pull the trigger, although it'd be great if they were in before cold weather. Though it doesn't seem that.
That's your plan.
Well, I mean, back
Wait, is
back
it
over
freezing
a
tonight?
year. Well, back over a year ago when I started working on this project, I sort of saw it as something that would, because nothing has happened, nothing really has come of all of the revitalize, all the work, all the people that participated, and to be honest with you, there's hardly anybody still working on any projects for Revitalize Downtown Putney. There's a handful out of the 200 people that attended all those meetings. Slowly but surely, they've all fallen by the wayside, and a lot of the ideas and things have just kind of fallen off with them. So, you know, it would be nice to do something, to have something that sort of initiated and maybe inspired some of the other projects to move forward.
So I support this project. I'm always thankful for people who step up and they come to the town select board with a project like this. This is low-hanging fruit. We've been talking about signage for a long time. The town has a sign ordinance which allows me to approve signage. I thought it was best, because this is a welcome sign, that this project be presented to the select board and to have comment from the board. I know we talked about branding, Peg, and I think that's gonna take some time. And
it could be repainted, the logo, you know, the sign could be made, this logo could go on it, and if another logo is deemed appropriate to fit on a sign, it could be repainted.
And I think you can have that conversation with Will Parmalee, and he can direct us. The
He
other
would be
thing,
willing, by the way, to talk to anybody about it.
the other thing too, with the kiosks coming into play, you know, the new codes that people can just walk up and, if you notice all the sandwich boards and all the other signs that just keep popping up, we're trying to promote business, and I think this signage is a very creative way to do it efficiently and effectively, and it will look good.
You don't like our sandwich boards? No, I rely on the sandwich boards to tell me what my taxes are due.
Well,
That's different.
Yeah, well, this signage isn't gonna replace the sandwich.
Okay,
You know?
all
it will replace some.
it might replace some of them, yeah.
And this is just the start of the signage project,
Yeah,
because this will tie into like the recreation whole piece too, with the trails and anything else. So I think it's something to build on. It's a start.
I mean, at the kiosk, you could have the schedule for the softball games or the,
Right.
the soccer,
So,
or, special events at the
Yeah.
lantern night at the central school, all of those things
right.
it's not necessarily just for people who are visiting downtown Putney, but it's for people in Putney who, wanna see what's going on and they know how to use a QR code.
right, sure.
So
No, I think it's a great idea. Kiosk information is definitely, especially if you're walking downtown, is a good place for information. I say go for it. I don't think we should necessarily get hung up on the logo part. If it doesn't work, you can always take the sign down. So.
I have a question, and I really hate to sound like a killjoy because I really think it's a great idea, and there's so much about it I like. But right now, are we really talking about just the signs? Like I see the kiosk as a whole nother conversation and a different a different conversation about how effective are kiosks, what, you know, what makes sense to communicate, you know, that kind of stuff. So I guess, are we just talking about the sign, or, well, first of all, do we need to approve anything, or we're just asking for our opinion? So that's one thing, is are we just like giving, it doesn't require us to make any decisions, just to offer our opinions.
Your blessing would be nice. And we're trying to be transparent about this,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know.
so I guess that's where I have a question is, you know, all of this work was done by Revitalize Downtown Putney, and the community was asked to get involved and to create projects and submit them, and and nobody's done it yet so far.
A little bit's been done.
Well, there are some other projects that all kind of in a way tie into
This
the
grant
concept
that you
of
have.
bringing people into town, not only bringing people from outside into downtown Putney, but bringing Putney and other local residents of maybe even neighboring communities to come into downtown Putney and making it a place where, you know, people could meet and sit and have a cup of coffee together, or, you know, example, which is not necessarily a project that's out there, but the idea, there are projects about some public seating, but for example, what if there was a bench at the library? I mean, how many times do you stand in the lobby of the library for 20 minutes talking to somebody, when it would be nice if you could go out on a nice day and sit down outside instead? So, you know, it's not necessarily just for outside, but I think it is really important to encourage people to come a little bit further, and then, you know, the gas stations and it's great that the co-op benefits and is thriving as a result of that kind of business, as are the gas stations, but it would be nice if
Norm.
come on down, and you know, and if all those businesses get stronger as a result, then someone else is likely to come and bring a new business into town. So and like I said,
Do you want to
Can I ask for one thing? Can you, when you turn to, oh yeah, or if you come over there, then I can see you. I
Okay.
just felt bad and I couldn't see.
I mean,
through
I'm happy to
Okay.
leave this here. I'm sick of looking at it myself.
It looks good.
Do we need to make a formal vote, or?
I mean, the money's sitting there. We
Yeah.
just have to.
I think it's great.
You have my blessing.
Yeah. And maybe, you know, if there's
I
some
mean, I'm up for this,
opportunity.
I'm up for the signage. I have questions about the kiosks.
If there's
Yeah.
opportunities to collaborate and further, you know, make, like say, a community collaboration on the logo, the new town logo, that probably just feeds into the revitalization of the downtown vibe anyway. So I guess that would be my only, you know, request, is that we continue to keep the community involved in all the, you know, the logo making and the sign, you know, the side signs and the kiosk, where it should go and all that stuff.
Well, the kiosk will be another whole. It's kind of like it's the next step,
Yeah.
and so it would be a whole different presentation and conversation about what it looks like, and you know, hopefully we could commandeer the one down at the Putney Inn, because that's a prime location.
Right.
But you know, this is it's just a baby step in trying to initiate.
I think your biggest issue, your biggest challenge is getting people to stop and look at the kiosk, right? So that would be when people drive by and go, oh yeah, I meant to look at that.
Well, if we're not talking about the kiosk now.
No, I know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, in general, you know, you're looking at these signs, and the biggest challenge you're gonna get is to get people to stop at the places that you're asking them to stop.
Right, well, these signs, hopefully they won't really have to stop, they'll be able to sort of see
Hopefully they'll be able
them
to see
from
it
the
while
roadway.
they're
And if only one or two of what they say catches their eye and it's something that's of interest to them, you know, and probably the most important one would be the one that says downtown with a little arrow that just like says.
Just keep going.
Keep it. Well, and that was the initial idea was
Yeah.
a sign that says "Welcome to Putney" with an arrow that says, you know, down there, you know, indicates there's more, and short of a sign with a big giant arrow pointing that says downtown.
Beyond.
And
Blinking.
Well, and it also came up that, you know, potentially maybe we can get some solar lighting out there that might, you know, illuminate the signs at night a little bit, enough so that,
Yeah.
you know, they're legible.
I think it's all great.
Emily?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. One of the things is, Jeanette, you worked very hard for us to get the park and ride. And it's not really obvious for people to come off and use it. We don't have great signage to show people how to get to it that I'm aware of. So, you know, even a information, I don't know if that's our property or what, but an information bulletin board there that, and helping people to get there, say, come and park and walk around, right? I mean, that's sort of, and I think this
That's
is
a possibility
really
also.
a
I
good
mean,
idea.
we are entangled with the park and ride. We discovered part of it's in, well, actually, right now, our Welcome to Putney sign is in Dummerston. Not very far into Dummerston, but it's in Dummerston. And there are a lot of we're challenged by a lot of signs, a lot of state signs, because we're a state highway. I mean, if you think about it and you drive through downtown Putney, it's just littered with state signs that say, you know, no parking, you know, after whatever, November 17th or whatever it is. And there's just there's just little signs all over the place that sort of make it difficult for, you know, any kind of character along the roadsides. So that's the park and ride. I don't know whether it's state or.
It is state.
It's all state land.
So,
Yeah, but nobody could use this, but because they don't know about it from other park and rides. It's like, oh, here's the park and ride, this is where we go.
but if people started using it, it would be a great place to have a kiosk.
Right, if they knew
what was there, but, you know.
Sorry, I don't really want to have a back and forth. We are getting a little late in the evening here, so I do have another question, Jordan.
I have just a quick comment on the logo. If you don't know, it is the product of a middle school contest around 1980. So,
Maybe we can do another one.
what's that?
Maybe we can do another one.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't a great town-wide thing. It was a middle school art contest.
Thank you for that.
Can I just make one quick comment about the state signage and stuff? I'm from Wilmington, and so I know a lot about running a downtown that's on a state highway. So I'd be happy to give you my card and connect you to the people. They did really nice welcome signs in Wilmington. They have really nice ones, and so I'm sure they had to navigate the same thing because they're all on state highways. So whoever navigated that might be a really good contact for you. And I know they just put some new like downtown wayfinding signage, so it might be worth like right in the center of downtown. And I don't know how they did that, but I know who knows. So it might be a good field trip to check out. But just email me and I'll try and follow up. But there are people who know.
And just another side note, Karen has a couple of photographs from the Historical Society photo collection of some of there's a couple of signs, photos of old signage right here in downtown Putney. One of them is in front of the paper mill, and one of them is right out here where Kimball Hill comes down. There used to be an island there, and it came around in front of the tavern, and then it went out. I guess it kind of sort of is an island there now, and I think there was actually a scale, for a weigh scale related to the general store and the commerce there. But there's some, there are those great signs on a pole where, with
North Pole, they didn't say North Pole, but they, Bellows Falls this way and, Westminster that way. And they're just really have that great small town feel to them.
Yeah.
Oh, did you pull them out, Karen?
Yes.
Oh, good, yeah. So I will stop talking and let you guys get on with your day. Can I leave this here until
Yes, you
tomorrow
can.
and take it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome.
Okay, so moving on to errors and omissions, which is Jordy.
Jody, thank you for your patience.
Mine is not so positive as some of these other ones. I would be inclined to call this errors rather than omissions. Turns out 4 of the state of Vermont properties in our 2024 grand list weren't coded as state because I think they're named State of Vermont rather than Vermont Department of something or other. So those 4 state ones, around $447,000 that comes off our tax rolls.
Do we get pilot payments for any of those?
And what are they?
The way station, no, Park and Ride isn't one of those, I think. The way station up by
Yeah.
91, where the rest area used to be on the other side. There's one where East Putney Brook Road goes off, a little one. And I have forgotten where the other one was. The 2 that belong to Vermont Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife down by the boat landing were coded correctly. Because I think maybe they belong to Vermont. Whatever. So they missed those, and we only found them when Kim was sending out delinquent tax letters. Should they really be getting them? We don't know. So we had no idea.
Boy, okay.
The next one on there, 624 LLC, that's Susan Nephew's subdivision and transfer of part of the property, and the listers, when they didn't reduce the acreage of part of it. So that was an error on our part, not the other part. So a $22,000 or so error. And the last one I just found yesterday, this one came through as a result of the reappraisal. Donna Baroness, through her contact at Sevka, how come I got an acre added to my property on my new tax bill? So we looked it up, and she did, and she shouldn't have. So that is a $3,800 error. No omissions, so I can't add anything this time. To a grand total of $478,600, which is around $9,500 of taxable tax revenue.
Do we know if we get pilot payments for any of these?
We will get pilot money from the state, but it tends to be negligible.
Well, some of them we don't, that's what I'm asking.
What's
Actually, just for the one with the building on it, probably.
Yeah.
Not
so
the
that's
property,
way
so
station.
just the one, and I'd have to go through and see what the building, they valued it at like $4,000 or $6,000 last year or something. So
Okay.
I think one year we got 19 cents for a pilot payment. when that was
Alright,
first
maybe we
listed.
shouldn't be pursuing it, but, okay. So pilot payment is pilot payment in lieu of taxes. Which the state will reimburse us for certain things like state buildings,
Right.
state
Yeah.
parks, but not necessarily other things that they own, which is really convenient. Does anybody have any questions?
That's a bummer.
It is a real bummer.
All right, can I hear a motion to accept the errors and omissions certificate in the total amount of negative $473,600?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the errors and omissions certificate in the negative amount of $473,600. Is there further discussion among the board? Any-
Can somebody, what happens now? Like what-
It's lost revenue, right? Because the tax rate has already been set.
Yeah.
So basically, we have to make that up through
But through other,
budget. We can't
do it,
redo the tax rate.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, come January, I'll ask everybody to reserve funding,
Yeah.
spending,
Yeah.
and try to recoup it in the operating budget.
I just
The
wanted to
same
see it.
thing with the BCA hearings, if there's.
Yeah,
it's the
I
same,
Right.
same thing.
Yeah.
Any other questions in the room? Any questions online? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, thanks, Jody.
Thank you,
Thank
Jordan.
you.
Thank you, I
Sorry
apologize.
about
A long
See
meeting.
if we know.
You don't need to apologize.
I do.
You've done a lot of work.
Thank you for all
Thank
your
you.
work. I don't know how you do it.
Now you can sign that. Okay. All right, so the next one is the fuel and propane bid. Does anybody want to take a break?
Yes, please.
All right, so
I was
let's
hoping
take
you could
a,
just do this one
break.
and I can leave.
what's that? You can leave. You don't get to leave.
Did I say
Okay,
that out loud?
7:25. Let's reconvene at 7:30.
Okay.
We are back at 7:30. And the next thing on the agenda is the fuel and propane bid proposals, which is Karen.
So in your packet is a spreadsheet. We had 5 companies send in bid proposals for oil and propane. It is my recommendation that the select board award a 1-year contract to Irving. They currently provide oil and propane. And they are the low bid on both oil and propane. And I'm comfortable working with them. And until we buy propane tanks of our own, it's a hassle to change companies. But I'm also impressed with the oil prices. They are lower than last year's contract. So I did not increase the amount of oil. I'm gonna stick with the 3,600 gallons for fire department, library, and town hall. And then the wastewater treatment plant and the highway department are on propane.
Okay. And you also have a comment here that Irving offers employees of the town of Putney a discount.
They do,
That's awesome.
yes.
Okay. Any discussion about this?
Only, so would that include like fire department folks, like they're employees of the town? Do they have any requirements for employee of the town?
I would think it'd be full-time, but I can look into that.
I'm just curious, because it's, if it's not, it seems like it might be a nice thing to let the fire.
For
It would
fire.
be,
A nice
it'd be a good incentive,
It'd be a
yes.
pretty, tool.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that would be a thing to look into. All right, does anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept Irving for a fuel contract for 1 year.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept Irving for 1 year. We're done. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept Irving 1-year contract for oil and propane. Further discussion on the board? Any comments in the room? Any comments online? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is select board old business, the controlling the use of alcoholic beverages on town property. I have not done anything about that.
Oh, good.
We're in the middle of the BCA
So glad.
hearings, and I've been sort of all consumed with that, so I have not done.
And we're so glad.
Okay. Next is select board reports. I did put select board letter to legislators on here because I did say that we were going to bring that back next meeting, which turns out it's this meeting. I just want to get a quick sense from you all what we want to put in there. Aside from please help. I mean, I think what we talked about was possibly some kind of retroactive.
I think one of the issues was the homestead declaration thing not applying in the right year.
So it'd be like
We're out of sync with that. so-
retroactive funding for
Right,
income sensitivity.
yeah. That was one thing that stood out.
Income. So some of the things that I thought of, and I don't honestly remember if this was in the meeting or just in my head, but one of the things is that this town does not see any revenue from the property transfer tax.
Right.
We talked about that, right?
Right, yeah.
So that would be something going forward that the town could benefit from some of the revenue from those property transfer taxes, because the state, I'm sure the state puts them to good use. But it is property tax, it's property that's transferring within our town.
Right.
We should be able to have a chunk of that. So that was one thing. New sources of revenue in general for municipalities, or the ability to seek them. We do have the possibility of, we do now have the possibility of implementing the local options tax. We can do it on meals, and I can't remember it all, but we can do it on everything, we can just do it on meals and rooms, and we can do it on alcohol, and we can do it on retail, or we can pick and choose.
Airbnb.
So that's one thing, but it's a 1% tax, and the state takes 30% off of it. So there's, maybe either give us the leeway to make it a 1.5, or have the state say, you don't get 30%, you get 25% or something to that effect, so that the towns can have more revenue or something like that. Are there other things that you remember from that conversation? Oh, I know the other one that they're thinking about is the complicated issue of exempt properties. So we have lots of exempt properties, most of them are statutorily exempt. They do good work in the town. They're, we need them and we need their services, but we do provide services for them. In the past, we've asked them to voluntarily provide us with a pilot payment. We've couched it in, please pay us back for the fire department. But it occurred to me that, the state provides pilot payments for state exempt properties, some of them. And they also hold us harmless for current use properties. So why can't they hold us harmless for exempt properties, or at least part of them? So that was another thought I had.
I don't think I understand what you're proposing.
So the state gives us money, so the state gives us, so
Right,
people who have current use.
Yeah, for the
they have-
current use, I got.
So
right.
they give us the amount that we would have gotten if those lands were not in current use.
Got that.
Similarly, if those properties weren't exempt, we would be getting revenue from them. So in
got
effect,
it.
we're
Okay.
losing revenue because
Okay.
they're exempt.
And so what you're.
So I'm proposing that the state give us that revenue that we would have gotten if they weren't exempt, because they are statutorily exempt. We have no choice. We can't say, well, you're not exempt because we don't feel like it.
Right.
So the state's imposing that on us. They should pay us for that service. Just a thought.
Sure.
I hear that come up a lot.
It comes up a lot, and you know, that might be a bridge too far for them, but I'm not sure anybody's ever proposed it that way, so.
It's worth a shot.
Because the only other option we really have is asking them to pay taxes, and that starts, you know, they're nonprofits for a reason, and they don't necessarily have the money to pay a property tax, especially the smaller ones. So, are there any other ones? Anybody can think of? All right. I will attempt to write something up for our next meeting.
Thank you.
And then I can edit it and send it on. I think they don't reconvene until January, so I guess we have time. Okay. All right, so that was that. Cannabis Control Board process.
Not much to report other than Rachel and I both attended the October 8th meeting that the Vermont CCB
Oh, good.
held. Yeah, they talked about, I think, Act 166, which is new regulations on cannabis. And so we just have to come together again, whether that's over email or in person, and decide how to deliver something to you guys.
Okay, good. I'm sorry.
Can you take a comment on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I have a hemp house and I promoted the freedom to grow. That being said, I wanted to say when the fire rescue thing happened, the state police were awesome with my son, who is very sensitive to marijuana. And he had gotten some amounts that were 77% THC, which made him psychotic. It ruined his whole summer. So I'm just saying that there's a lot in the cannabis question, and the doctors really aren't all that well versed with it. So I don't know whether to email you information or something.
Yeah, you're welcome to, absolutely.
Okay, because I mean, I believe in our freedom to have our own medicine, but it is harming some people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there comments online on the Selectboard reports so far? Okay, the recreational department committee.
So, yes, Karen, myself, and some others are meeting tomorrow afternoon for our first powwow.
Working group is what we're called.
Good. Yeah, I think some of these aren't really committees so much as they're task force, right? Because
Right.
they're gonna do one thing and then they're gonna
Yeah,
pat themselves on the back and go
working
home.
group.
All right, cool. Select board operating principles review and comment, public participation review and comment, and solar advisory committee, and 1% local tax option. Those are all Fletcher. He's not here. Alternative transportation advisory committee. That's me. Done nothing. Highway access policy area. Okay. Event ordinance. Peg.
Nothing.
Okay. All right, now we're on to public comments on item not on the agenda. Are there comments online? Are there comments in the room?
It is, and I'm thankful to be here today. I have two sub items. Which would you like first, the easy one or the intense one? I'll let you choose.
I don't know. Are they really long?
Well, one, I just have to read 2 pages. I prepared it, so it'll go longer. And the other one is around the bridge thing we were talking about. You know, and I don't know if you've considered it, but I did want to say right after that, I went to the dump, and a friend gave me like all this pressure treated. And of course I took it, and it's just the right length. That I don't know whether you do things like take donations for projects, but I have almost enough to totally floor such a bridge. I don't have any of the other beams and stuff like that. But if you want it, you should reserve it, and I'll keep it.
Okay, yeah, hang on to it. You and I can talk about it.
Okay,
Thank you.
welcome. And thank you for your help with that
You're
from the very start. Okay, so here's my intense thing, and I'll just read it through. It's me, just deal. This is, has a lot of QR codes on it, so I hope you guys know how to do QR codes. I'll give you a copy after. Last time I was here, I think you wondered whether you had done an oath of office. And I think that there's a lot of reason to sort of renew our understanding about the Constitution. So let me just read this and we'll get through it quick. I'll go over our Constitution during the Select Board meetings I'm able to attend, article by article. The first article states that all persons are born equally free and independent and have certain natural, inherent, and unalienable rights, among which are the enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuit and obtaining happiness and safety. Therefore, slavery and indentured servitude in any form are prohibited. Now, I really love the people of my community, even though those I am concerned who are clueless. And to me, I care about them. You feel like scared chipmunks with stuffing your cheeks with acorns of fears fed by media and scurrying up the tree of corporate service. These tax raises, after shutting down local businesses, seem quite violative of the first article, that indentured servitude in any form is prohibited. If the economy is made bad already, made bad by corporate greed, why should governmental public servants who uphold the Constitution on behalf of the people feel allowed to raise taxes unless the people were more prosperous to fulfill them? And I don't see people being more prosperous. So about 4 years ago, government destroyed small businesses and, in violation of multiple codes and constitutional instructions, rewarded compliance to specific protocols and mandates by hospitals, doctors, government, churches, and schools with great amounts of money, while opening a flood of money to the pharmaceutical, IT, and surveillance industries, all of whom politicians must please to stay or get elected. If a hospital labeled a death a COVID death, they receive $39,000. If they put patients on a ventilator, they receive tens of thousands. If they diagnosed COVID, the hospitals received $11,000 per diagnosis. In short, the government created RICO conditions, incentivizing the private sector to enrich themselves while ignoring outcomes. Doctors received bonuses according to their vaccination rates. Meanwhile, the comedians were shamelessly dancing with humans dressed as needles and calling for the death of anyone who was not impressed, like me. Now today we are pretending that the assault on people never happened, likely because it's so incredibly sad and terrifically evident that America has a problem with greed. People say I was just doing my job following orders. Well, Select Board, your job is a little different. Your job is to uphold the Constitution, including prohibiting indenture in any form. Government is indenturing the people to war for greed, to invasion for greed, to medical tyranny for greed. You all intend to, I'll skip this part, but it's around the WWHT housing where the people aren't even allowed to be prosperous, the ones that live there. They have to have a limit of $2,000 just to live there in their savings, so how can they ever become prosperous and get ahead? That I want to begin to help people face the deep sadness that comes with the betrayal that COVID represented. COVID was not a natural occurrence. It was a result of engineering a more potent virus. The shots were not approved. They were emergency use authorized, and when a safer, cheaper remedy rivaled their need, the pundits went to work ridiculing and disowning their use. There was nothing about COVID and its response that was honorable, except the people wanting to be certain to protect one another. Everything else was wrong and suspect. Now our economy is crippled, and the blows government delivered to the small businesses 4 years ago, and we have raising taxes. Isn't that a bit greedy? So what I'm proposing is the following, that we convene a committee to review the last 4 years and bring reports to you. If ungrounded protocols were followed for the sake of greed, protocols that harmed people, then pretending that it's okay is as wrong as ignoring an uncle sexually abusing your child. Even though the word is out to shame and shut down anyone who questions, our duty to question creates better outcomes, especially in the wake of a top-down radical departure from common sense, where the healthy were treated like prisoners and hospitals are mandating remdesivir for COVID, a drug that causes death by kidney failure in 50% of the cases, intubation that causes death in every case by day 9, and hospitals naming the cause of death COVID for the perk of $39K to do so. I will close with a request that everyone on the board consider my request to create a COVID review committee and give everyone here an assignment. CHD TV has released a documentary, and it isn't experts. It's a bus that's crisscrossing the country with a question on the side of it, vax/unvax, taking the stories of the people of America who died in greater proportion than anywhere else on earth, while sending the most amount of money to stay healthy. The movie is on CHD TV called Vax 3, Authorized to Kill. People in Putney died early and suddenly. Warren, for one. We owe it to them to understand why. The people of America have tried to be true to moral values in the face of inordinate corporate greed. We watched Citizens United pass with horror, telling us the courts are subjects of the elites as well. But now it's time to draw a line in the sand. The people need our Constitution to be obeyed. This includes drawing the line between corporations who will kill for profit and the people's welfare. So I have some QR codes here that lead to a couple of the VAX 3, which is the people talking across the country. It's very well done. And then 2 other documentaries, one that just came out, which is about what's happening at the border, which is harming migrants, it's harming Americans, it's harming children. So I just tried to make it as easy as possible for you guys to see these documentaries. And thank you. So I had asked Nate and Peg about what the process would be to form a committee. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any comments, further comments on the board? Any other comments online? Okay, moving on to, well, do we need an executive session?
Now that I submitted a request, do I wait for next time? That sort of thing?
It's a public comment. Does anybody want to take this up? Nobody wanted to talk about it, so.
Okay, so I'll just come back and I just made a request and it's sitting there. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Do we need an executive session?
No.
Okay. So our next meeting date is October 30th, 2024 on Zoom and in the room at 5:30. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ellen.